Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. I'm Nadia Giordana, and you are watching It's a Woman's World. I'd like to welcome you to this episode, part two of Women Lifting Other Women. On the last episode, we had special guest Tiffany Grandchamp, CEO of WomenLiftingWomen.org, to give us some expert knowledge and information on the subject. And today, with Jamela Pettiford as our moderator, we are having a panel discussion with our co-hosts to delve deeper into this very important subject.
Hello and welcome to It's a Woman's World. As you know, we always bring you the latest trends and conversation of things that are going on with women in community. Well, today we are talking about the importance of women lifting women. Let's have our panel discussion and let's dig deep. And I truly believe that Nadia Giordana has some great insight and some things that she wants to talk to us about. Welcome, Nadia.
I'm delighted to be here. And yes, this is a subject that's really important. I'm glad we're doing this today.
I am as well. And of course, we have Melissa Nambangi. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And I just love these subjects we're going to tackle today.
That's right. That's right. Because you lift up women. That's what you do.
Yes, that's my job.
All right. And Candy Pettiford, so honored to have you here.
Yes, we are going to be lifting up women today and have great conversation, something I think that people will learn. We women will learn from this. So let's get with it.
Let's get with it. And of course, that it really does begin in the home, how you see other women. If you see other women as competition, if you kind of have this dog eat dog world type of competitious behavior that some women have. I think talking about uplifting women really gives us an opportunity to really dig up some of those rooted competitions that have been set in place. I don't know if it's American culture, if it's just, kind of the way things are, is that women are to work against each other for men, for jobs, for career, for this and that. And I like when we're talking about uplifting women, because we're talking about now, how do we see ourselves in the women we approach? How do we begin to give them, the same grace and favor and opportunities that we would give ourselves or want for ourselves? And how do we not work as crabs in a barrel, pulling each other down, cutting each other down, speaking terribly about each other behind each other's backs? How do we really bring them into the room and uplift them even when they're not there?
When we listen and pay attention and participate in all this women's empowerment stuff, or just listening to women's stories, the younger ones eventually start seeing why their mother probably did something that they did not like. And it's easy then to forgive, if that's the word that's needed, because she was doing what she was brought up to believe is best, or at the time she was taught that's the best thing to do. So we eventually get to that stage where we have to realize that society does a lot more to guide or change or force the way we interact with each other. And it also ties up to what Jamila just said. The whole competitive nature of women, and we are backbiting and we're pulling each other down, is common across the world. If you don't pay attention to the fact that it's society doing that to you, you would fall for it and you will keep on being this destructive woman. But when you realize that I am brought up to think, oh, that other girl's dress is prettier. Well, as a little girl, that's how it starts. So it starts with that competition, or, oh, the boys are all talking to her and nobody's talking to me. We are brought to be that shallow Instead of, then of course the guys are like, oh, that's one gonna be an engineer. Oh, see what my son did, he built that. If we don't start this uprooting those types of comparisons with children, with girls, we will keep on having this issue where you work somewhere, you don't want to see another woman come in because, oh, they are all going to. And of course, we are taught to denigrate them immediately. What you wouldn't do, you would accuse the other woman of doing. Oh, I'm sure she got that job because she must be doing something with somebody at the top. You ignore her degree, you ignore her experience, and you just denigrate her and then try to bring in others to fight. So we have that tribe mentality and we can use it for destruction. So when you start paying attention to the fact that this is how we are being, what's the word? We are being coerced into behaving in this destructive way to women, because it serves the status quo. If we can just keep ourselves down, then nobody else has to worry about that. You know, the man in the office who is the boss will have no problem because he knows no matter how sharp this other woman who just came in is, she will never go ahead above because her own peers, the other women, will bring her down. So we have to pay attention to that. And once you recognize that, then you can really devote yourself to supporting women with all your energy, because even the women you support will be part of that group that will want to tear you down. So it's quite an arduous task.
I kind of want to piggyback off of what you said, Melissa, but I'm kind of bounce off a different kind of route there. I love the fact when I go, let's say we're going to a women's party, it's not just all Black women. Yeah. It's not just all white women. I love it when I go into a room and it's mixed up and you see, you know, Blacks talking with the white, you know, and we're laughing and we're having a great time together. That to me is lifting up. Because when you only say, oh, I'm lifting up, oh, I'm just only going to lift up the Black women. Oh, no, or I'm only just going to lift up the white women. Oh, I love it when I see we all are pulling together, because we know as women, the men will try to dominate and do get paid more than we do. So I like the fact when we, as all women, Chinese, Japanese, whatever, we all pull each other up. And I feel sorry for the ones that are over in other countries that are not allowed to drive. I mean, they're still not allowed to drive. And so there's some women that their husbands do let them drive, so they'll pick their sister friend up. So there's so many ways we can lift up each other. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more conversations about how we do this. How do we do this? And I truly believe it starts with the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. It really starts with, you know, do you feel secure inside your body? Do you feel loved by yourself, for yourself, without any outside forces confirming, you know, the love that you have for yourself? Many times when I've met women who were unable to uplift or be encouraging, it was truly had nothing to do with me, but it had everything to do with themselves and where they had come from and how they viewed the world. And many had viewed the world as a very hurtful, untrusting place. And so when they see another woman coming in and she's sharp, she's intelligent, she's well put together, and she stands in her glory, someone will look and say, well, who does she think she is? Instead of saying, I want to know who she is, and I will make it my business to be her friend and to figure out what makes her so powerful and impactful. I want to be like her. And so you're right, Melissa, when you say it does start from those beginning relationships. It does start, you know, from, you know, navigating these different interactions that we have with other people. And so one of the things that I've really made sure to do is to really, when I can sense that someone has low self-esteem, or I can sense that they're insecure, or I can sense that they're just staring at me, then I take the time to say hello, and I'm genuine. I greet them. I'll hug them if they let me. I'll speak to them. I'll let them know, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Me? Yes, you. Well, I thought the same about you. And so many times it takes a simple icebreaker of greeting, of a basic, genuine greeting that will begin to open up the woman that you're facing. And she'll know that you're a real person, and she'll know, oh, not only beautiful, not only smart, not only impactful, but very likable. And that matters.
I'm glad you said that. I have to jump in here and say this real quick, because there was I remember going to this one place, and the lady was greeting everybody. And it was in my younger days, and she was just gorgeous, flowing and just vibrant. And I just kind of looked at her and cut my eyes at her, and just, she walked over to me and hugged me. From then on, her and I have become friends. Just by her doing that, because I looked at her with a jealousy of, oh, she's beautiful. She thinks she is too. And I mean, but she saw that and hung it, icebreaker, broke it right down. I love it. Yeah.
That is fabulous, Candy. I've heard you tell that story, and I think that is a terrific thing for women to remember, how to handle themselves. If they are the woman in the room where the heads turn, it's partly their responsibility to reach out to those other women. And, the same is true in a corporate situation when you're talking about corporations where we become encapsulated and there is a lot of rivalry, and for a lot of good reasons in the corporate situations, and the rivalries that come up, and you're fighting for the same jobs. And then you have the competition with the men too, who kind of rule the roost, even if there are some top women in the company. So it gets to be very complicated, and it's probably would behoove modern corporations to be aware of those dynamics, because I think with the right tutelage, women can get to where they enjoy working with other women and lifting up other women, and making the entire female force in a corporation work together and be satisfied.
I would like us to talk about why is it important.
Yes.
Talk about why it is important to support or lift other women, because a lot of times it is a thankless job if you look at it in terms of profit or what have you. But also it is the kind of question that society uses to keep you from helping each other. It's like, what business of yours is it? How does it concern you if she's working there and she's not getting promotion, or things are not going well? So can we talk a little about why it is important, so anybody listening might be moved to start supporting other women?
I truly believe that the importance, and I thank you for saying that, because that was right in the tip of my tongue. So why is it important for us to even do this? When we think about, women, when we think about myself being an African-American woman, a Black woman, and all of the things that we have had to endure, and for hundreds of years, our bodies were not even our own. And we did not have any power or control over our bodies. Our bodies were used to breed. And we were taught that, the woman in the house was more pretty. She was typically lighter skinned. She might have even been master's daughter, right? And so we were taught even from those days that, women who were in higher positions were supposed to look down at you and treat you as a token and treat you as less than, because if you got to where she was, that you could potentially take what she had. And when we went through the periods in which we realized that it takes women to get women in, it takes women to put other women at the table for us to even sit to eat together. We had to pull together in such ways. We had to begin to, aunties and mamas, if the child was too much for me, the auntie took the child for a while. We had to help in those ways. We began to realize that the power of our unification was more powerful than anything else. And what we begin to see is men will pull together and help each other out and promote each other. And we started to say, well, then I guess we're going to have to do the very same in order for us to get to where we want to be. If I see a young woman coming up, she's not my competition, but she might replace me, and I'm grooming her to replace me. I am training her to replace me. I am putting her purposely in position so that she can take over, and I can sit back as an old woman and say, look at her. Look at my protege. She's done well. She's shining like I knew she would. She's taking it to another level. The importance of us doing this is so much historical content in it, but in this future sense, if we're going to continue to stay in these positions where we are doing and making the impactful lifelong changes, we have to promote and celebrate each other.
That's wonderful. And I think that oppression and that backbiting comes out of fear.
It does.
It comes out of fear. And I think we can take a page from the men's playbook in that respect, because I know they've had a lot more years and a lot more time to develop these skills. But they do that. They develop their proteges. They're proud of that. We need to, instead of trying to do it all ourselves as we do, but take a page from the men's playbook and learn something from it and model some of their techniques. Because even if you have an altercation, this happens with women, you have an altercation with someone else in the workplace, another female, and the two of you will very likely never speak to each other again for the duration of your employment. And the men will duke it out, either figuratively or literally, smoke a cigarette or have a cigar, go back to work and forget all about it. We need to be able to do that.
Oh, that's true.
I think one of the reasons why we are unable to do that in some capacities is because we as women are incubators. We hold things. You give us something, we give life to it. And if we play something over and over and over again in our head, that this woman doesn't like me, no one will like me, then she's giving birth to that. And when she meets other women, she's looking for that. Oh, she's not going to like me. Or she's going to give birth to, everywhere I go, people like me. Everywhere I go, people find me friendly. And so I think part of that is that word forgiveness that you had brought up. How do we forgive those who have hurt us so that we don't go into relationships, kittywampus and looking at things like scrutinizing everything because of our own hurt and lack of trust? We do have to then begin to start to say, hey, I've let it go. I've released it. I can move on. We can begin anew. And some women have a difficulty beginning anew, much like what you were saying. They drop it, it's over, the guys can go on. Whereas some women, it could be 15 years, 20 years to their death. They'll never forgive. They'll never let it go. And that is the issue at times with some of our beautiful women, is that they are holding things eternally. And what we want to do it now, a part of uplifting women, again, I truly believe it starts with yourself, because you can't give what you don't have.
But this woman is a woman who lifts up other women. Her name is Pastor Andrea Poston. She's just written a book titled Sister Squad Vibes.
Nice.
And it is a Christian devotional. I'll probably put another picture up of it. Christian devotional, but the work pages in there allows you take your week and the things that might happen in your week that are stressful, thinking it through on Tuesdays, talking to God on Thursdays, working through situations on Saturdays, and then vibing with God, vibing with your squad, vibing with yourself. And it just allows for a lot of opportunity to work with yourself, with your friends, with your group of friends, your squad. And I salute her with what she's done with this.
Mhm.
Great.
Well, as we start to kind of wrap up and put things in perspective, I would like each one of you to almost give a pledge of what you will do as a woman to uplift other women, young, older, otherwise. What is your personal pledge to uplift women that you might see that are broken, that you might see are having a difficulty with their own existence and self-esteem? What is your pledge to be a woman who uplifts other women? Yeah.
I actually work with uplifting, empowering women, except my focus is African refugee and immigrant women. For the past 21 years, we started in 2002 with MAWA. And it has always been difficult for me to get the women to understand that why I put so much time and sacrifice so much in doing this is because I see myself in them.
Mm.
They really do not get how I see myself in them, because they think of things like, well, you are from Cameroon and I'm from Kenya, or well, you are educated to this level and all, you are a journalist by profession and I'm not. They look at it that way. But what they don't see, and where we eventually all get to when we realize it, is that when we uplift other women, we are doing good for womankind. Because if nobody saw a woman flying a plane, they might not have known women could be pilots. If they didn't see women in the high ranks of the army, they would not have known that a woman can go into that profession. So I see myself in them, because one other thing, being an immigrant to the United States, coming across so many people thinking that African women don't speak, they don't know what to say, they are not educated or something. It became my pride to be able to show all these high school girls who work with us, and here they are going off to college. And whenever we took them to do presentations at different youth, or even community events, people were always, non-Africans always like, oh my God, they speak so well. Oh my goodness, they are so confident. And that made me proud, because I speak very well myself, but yes, I know that when people see me and hear I'm from Africa, they immediately have a different expectation. Till I open my mouth, then they're like, oh, okay. So I see myself in all these women, and I'll continue doing that. But most of all, I'll always remember, because the things that tear us up are all the competitions that have been put in our way, the obstacles, to always remember that just because her light shines doesn't mean it will outshine mine.
That's right.
And that is the guiding principle I have for supporting women.
Oh, that's well said, Melissa.
Very much so.
That, especially, thinking about women coming from Africa and everything. And when you do speak, just seeing you, Melissa, I can see the joy and whatever in you, and you draw me in to want to talk to you. So I like that. And my pledge is to always to be kind and to smile. If I speak and they don't speak, it's nothing that's hurting me. But a lot of people who usually do meet me for the first time, I think they notice, because, and I'm not going to lift up my hands, but sometimes they see the disability that I have, and they immediately open the door, or how are you today, or whatever. So my mission is to not see what the illness that I have, but to see my kindness, my love for people, and that shows out way above anything else. So that's my pledge. I think kindness, I say I put on the gown. Every morning I'll say, I put on the gown of kindness, and it's beautiful, and everybody can see it.
Let me just jump in there. I had no clue that you have any disability, because this is what I've known of you from 2-3 years that I've been working with you, and you are such a fascinating person. So you are succeeding in the image you are showing out there.
And you light up a room, Candy. People
Yes.
gravitate to you, so you're accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
Yes, you
Thank
are.
you, Lord.
And I'd have to say that my pledge, I guess I'd basically have to say that it began about 12 years ago when I started these programs that offer a voice to women of all walks. So I think that's where my pledge is, and it will remain because it's satisfying. And where else can you have a wonderful conversation like we've just had here today?
Seriously, seriously. And I have to say that my pledge is to continue to encourage, to enhance, and to edify women. I mean, and to really take a step back and to see how can I be of assistance. Sometimes it might just be a word of encouragement. I ran into a lady that I worked with about 10 years ago. And she said, Miss Jamela, I still remember the things that you've done with me, the work that you've done with me, the programs that you put together. And as I was talking to her, her information started to download to me. And I said to her, I said, what do you do during the day? She said, I do nothing because my mental health is at the place where I feel I can do nothing. And I said, well, I want to encourage you to have purpose. I said, because purpose will begin to have the mental health and the depression and the anxiety, it will keep it at bay. Because when you have things that you love to do, when you have things that you wake up and you have an aim, you have a focus, you have a desire on the inside of you, depression can't hang around, anxiety can't hang around. But if you spend your days feeling sorry for yourself or feeling less than, then you will always spend your days doing that. And so my pledge is to continue, much like Melissa, much like Candy, much like Nadia, to continue this fight to uplift women by being an uplifted woman.
Beautiful.
And so I want to say to all of you who have been with us, take the pledge. Take the pledge to be a part of a community of folks, whether man or woman, to uplift women, to be an uplifter of those, to wear that gown of kindness, to be the one who sees the inside of a person and then see yourself, like Melissa said, see yourself inside of them, and then to continue to forge ahead, making powerful impacts wherever you go, because truly women are uplifting other women, starting with ourselves. Thank you for being here again for another episode of It Is Truly a Woman's World. We'll see you next time.